Hi guys, thanks for popping in. Let me just check my sound here. Hopefully you can hear me and my dulcet tones. I appreciate you dropping in, I really do. And here you are in my house in Australia. In fact, don't tell anyone, but you're in my bedroom. Okay, now I thought, having read on the impeachment a few times, I'll just sit back and see what happens. But it's impossible to leave it alone. I've had no sleep. Look at these eyes, because I have to watch it through the night because of the time difference. So you can't say I'm not devoted, intrepid viewers. Totally devoted. Okay, but before I get back into that, because I'm kind of hoping, after the miracle in Georgia, dare to hope, dare to dream, maybe with all this really strong brick by brick case the Dems are building with video evidence, maybe a miracle could happen. And those sleazy, absolutely decrepit, amoral reptiles of the GOP could put their heads up and do the right thing. Could it happen? Got to keep on top of it. But before I do, a couple of things have happened that I think are really important and interesting. Hope you do. So one is that the GOP has secret vote and Liz Cheney kept her job. They should have more secret votes. When they have secret votes, different story. But in an open vote, 11 of them crossed the floor to strip that hideous woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, of her committees. So that's a small mercy. But also Philadelphia is intending to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. Not a minute too soon, if you ask me. Australia, exactly the same issues. The 26th of January is Australia Day, where White Australia celebrates Captain Cook arriving on the shores, which is a mere 200 and something years ago. Of course, for the Indigenous people here, the Aboriginal people of Australia, it's Invasion Day. So there's been a 30-year debate about what should happen to Australia Day. And so for the last 30 years or so, most Indigenous Australians and white Australians who have a heart and a brain have had separate celebrations of survival. It's been called Survival Day, and that's really important. So it seems that Philadelphia is working out that for most Indigenous people, the arrival of Europeans, coming as they did with cholera and smallpox and influenza and syphilis, did such enormous damage on arrival before even stealing the land. So that's a little spark of progress. Aboriginal people have been here for 60,000 years. Count those zeros. It's the longest continuous living culture in the world. Aboriginal people. We've been here for 200. Right. What can you say? So that sticks it to the fundamentalists, doesn't it, really? Okay, so in other news, Jonathan Swan. If I was 30 years younger, look out, Jonathan Swan. Now, he works for Axios. He's the Australian journo there. He got sent an audio recording of a meeting with Sidney Powell and Michael Flynn, shouting, screaming, swearing. I think Giuliani might have been there as well, saying, get the military in to seize the voting machines. This is actually really serious stuff on its own. Where does Michael Flynn get off? He has to go to jail. That man must go to jail. So, but I'm not going to read on him today. The other thing I am going to read on before I get back to the trial is following the money. What's happened to the $250 million that's been raised since the election under the guise of Stop the Steal campaign? 250 million. And apparently it's turning out that that money was used to bus people in to the January 6th event and other things. So let's see if that investigation's got legs, first of all. The 250 missing mil. What's happened there? Right, let's have a look. The cautious night. I think that's the investigators. They're being careful. Oh, my USA card. This is the best of America. The star is underlying it. Oh, good, good, good. So this is the investigation moving forward very carefully. They don't want to blow it. Now, this is frustrating. Here's my first digression. I've only been going 30 seconds. The legal stuff that's going to play out around the Yeti, his family, his sycophants, everyone in his orbit, legal stuff takes years. So perhaps we'll be bonded a bit further from here, but hopefully other things will be happening as well that are a bit more positive. But we've got to have our sitting pants on because legal stuff is not quick, right? Following the money. And they're at a crossroads. They've got to work out how they are going to approach this. So they've obviously got two and possibly more ways of going. That could be just following Trump's grimy little vulgarian fingers in the pie, looking at, oh, it might be both, looking at the Trump. That means the Kushners, the Don Juniors and stuff. How much did they run away with out of this? Oops, I need another 30 million, Dad. I'll run a ripper campaign. And how much was to other people? And I think these people who are arrested and are now are going to throw a lot of light on that. I think this is going to be an interesting one to watch. And I've said before too, I think you have to work from the most recent back. So the things he was doing in 2015 and earlier will also come tumbling out in the wash. But we have to keep up. People have a very short attention span, and you have to go for those things that they remember not that long ago. So now, this is also volatile. This is why this stuff's so hard to read on generally, and I'm sure most readers would agree with me, is because it involves, first of all, millions of people. I still think, you know, we don't know how the consciences, if they've even got them, of the GOP might be swayed by their own families, maybe, on other things. So it's highly volatile. So we do have to keep reading on it. So what's my question? Lena, what's your question? Are GOP lawmakers having second thoughts now the impeachment started? They intended to vote as a bloc. I thought they just would. They probably still will. But are they beginning to shift? Are the sand dunes moving? What is happening? Are GOP lawmakers shifting on the impeachment stuff? Are they shifting? Are they shifting? Okay, let's look. Walking away, they're still conflicted. Very interesting. Look, I take heart from this. This is the Eight of Cups. This is walking away on your own terms. There might be a shred of conscience here, a shred of guilt there, a shred of self-preservation somewhere else, because I think we're safe to assume that the GOP will not be the same again. It really will not be the same again. This is more of them walking away from Trump. I mean, they've spent virtually 5 years of their lives supporting this man with the brain of a goldfish and thinking it was a good idea. And now they've been confronted with the visuals of it, while Josh Hawley sits in the upper stand reading magazines and picking his nose. I mean, please spare me. It's not a good look for the rest of the world. This is them behind the scenes. This is the circular conflict. So you've got the camps behind the scenes going, look, this is really bad. Maybe I will put my country first. And others going, no, just vote no, you know, we'll work it out later. We'll work it out later. Round and around and around. They might come to a compromise. They just might. The Hierophant is playing on them. You cannot sit through these sessions with the impeachment trial and not be reminded of the Hierophant. Government, law and order, the way things are done, the social norms, what is considered a civilized society. All of this is starting to weigh on their little paltry hypocritical heads. I'm very pleased. Okay. So I'll just keep updating you in bite-sized pieces, because a week ago I'd got, you know, because a week ago they were just purely political animals. So, all right, now, the other thing is, shocking statistics I stumbled across yesterday. Americans experiencing hunger. So that's not just food insecurity, meaning you're spending too much of your income on feeding your family and you're just scraping. Hunger, actually going to bed hungry. In 2018, that was 14.3 million Americans. That's obscene. However, it is now way more than double that, 35 million Americans. 1 in 10 experiencing hunger. So I'm going to ask a more generic question now. Is America going to seriously address inequality? It's a big question. Is America seriously going to address inequality in the next few years? Is America ready, surely, to address? It has the biggest wealth discrepancy in the world. Okay, I think I'll do a 7-carder for this because it is big. Okay. All right, I think America's running out of time to do this. It really, really needs to address it. This is the youth and young people coming with a screaming message. This is the message of surprise with the Page of Cups. But the Page of Cups has heart, and this is young people being at the heart of the issue. Past thinking. The Five of Swords. Everyone fend for themselves. I'm rich, what's your problem? Poor people are only poor because they choose to be, because they're lazy, and all that crap that goes on. Oops, sorry. Very hostile to poverty. Literally hostile. The past, that was past attitudes. This is past actions. Again, just cutting through to the chase. direct action, if I can make a go of it, it doesn't matter what happens to every other American. I'm all right, so the 359 million others will just have to fend for themselves. It's reinforcing this narrative. Now, present thinking, understanding the burden. This is the burden on the working poor. People used to be poor when they're out of work. Now people, this isn't just America, by the way, the phenomenon of the working poor. This is now all first world capitalist countries, which is why I say we've reached peak capitalism, letting business decide the rules, letting business decide what governments should and shouldn't do, lobbying, you know, in the interests of the wealthy. This has become a burden on the state. America had much more innovation and excitement and expansion and inspiration when it had affordable education and it had more secure employment. It's got to shift again. It's a burden on the whole society. The message from the universe in relation to this question, will America address it? Finally and belatedly, I believe it will in the next few years, moving from a troubled place into a safer place. Because if you don't, you have social breakdown. If America decides to move towards reducing inequality, a much more happy outcome, the 10 of Cups, usually my GOP card, but this is more for the whole country, a much happier outcome. In other words, it can't be band-aids anymore. No country has the luxury of little tiny fixes for the next 3 years, 4 years. It's got to be major. So we've got to get out of this mindset because we've all been collectively traumatized, what with COVID, but also the financial situation. And there's a natural hankering, oh, why can't it go back to normal? Please save us from normal. We cannot continue as we were, let alone as we are. So we need courage and we need vision and not be afraid of big changes. I think it can be massively exciting. I think this can, because this to me is a crossover card between Cups, which are emotion, and Pentacles, which are wealth, security, and values. It's a crossover card. If a society is measured by how it treats its most vulnerable. If America lifts its game, give us your huddle poor, well, you've got plenty, it will be better, stronger, brighter. The economy will actually improve by well-targeted, not just throwing money at problems and hoping for the best. Bring back experts, but bring back ordinary people before big sums of money are delivered. Bring back people to talk about how it affects them on the ground. Perhaps someone would like Elon Musk. I'll call on Elon Musk. Why don't you go and clone Katie Porter? America needs at least, 10,000 Katie Porters, if not more. Someone who can take these really dyed-in-the-wool set things. We've always done it this way. Of course, as a big corporation, we've made a fortune. We paid our people nothing. Ha! She can reduce that to what it is. I'd recommend anyone who hasn't seen Katie Porter on poverty or the short 5 and 8 minute videos when she nailed the guy from Morgan Chase Bank about how banks work, her video on big pharmaceuticals, how they work and how they profit off you. Brilliant. So this has turned into my tribute to Katie Porter. So before I go, a couple more housekeeping things. Thank you for your donations. Because I was unwell and couldn't work, they were really appreciated. And I'm back doing readings and loving it. And thank you for all those who come for repeat readings. We're bonded. We're bonded. So if you want a reading, you email me and that's underneath this video. Okay, so back to the trial. It's inching forward in a good way. So I'll see you very soon. Bye.